Okay, we have been talking about friction and gravity, and now I'm going to introduce you to a spring scale, which is a tool that we can use to measure the force of gravity and the force of friction. These are called spring scales, and there's a hook on one end, I guess, for you to hold, and then there's another hook for you to attach to an object. And as you pull the object, you can see that it measures the amount of force that you need to use to overcome the friction that that object is experiencing. So what I want you to look at are the two, well, this one only has newtons. So newtons is the unit that you use to measure force. Isaac Newton, remember, he was very full of himself, so he decided to name a unit of measurement after himself, and you can usually see it as a capital N. Can you guys see that there? Now, some spring scales have both grams and newtons, so it will show you sort of weight as well as force. So the weight or mass would be measured in grams, and the force is measured in newtons. And here is another one that's just showing a G. So if you look at this one, it doesn't even have newtons on it. It only has grams on one side and then newtons on the other side. So when you are doing these labs, you want to make sure that you are always looking at the side with the proper units, because grams are here and newtons are there. So always make sure you're using newtons when we're doing these labs. You also need to make sure that you're using the spring scale that is will correctly measure the force of friction that you're trying to overcome. So if I have this board on top of a sandpaper board, you can see that if I'm using this spring scale, it's not going to be, it's not calibrated enough to actually move that block. It sort of zeroes out. That's because this particular scale only goes up to 2.5 newtons of force. So if you're trying to pull something stronger than that, you will not get an accurate reading. This one actually goes to 2.5 as well. So even using this one, it's going to bottom out. And then you're not really able to measure anything. This one goes up to 10 newtons of force, which is going to be what we're going to be using for our experiments or our labs. So you can see it's not bottoming out. I'm going to be able to overcome the force of friction and get an accurate measurement with this spring scale. So the first thing you have to do is make sure you overcome that initial jolt, and then you sort of want to pull it at a constant speed and take your reading while you are pulling it at a constant speed. So it took me about 5 newtons of force to overcome the friction between the board and the sandpaper. Okay, good luck.